Well, my initial involvement of Star Wars was when I was about 14 years old and I went and saw Star Wars. Then, the following Halloween in 1977, my parents made me a Jawa costume. Then, the following summer, when Star Wars was re-released, I was hired by a local cinema in my hometown of Greeley, Colorado, to be a Jawa all summer. That was my start of Star Wars. Flash forward about 30 years, and they brought me in to audition for it. Dave Filoni knew me from working with him on Avatar, and so he knew me as an actor in a very different capacity. I auditioned for the role of the clones, and they arrived at me, and off we went on something that I had no idea where this voyage would go, and I certainly wouldn't have ever thought of to cast myself in a straight ahead soldier role. That wasn't the kind of stuff that I did, and it wasn't how I thought of myself. So it really opened up how I see what I can do, and I've been I just feel so very lucky to have this kind of creative challenge that is ongoing, and it's so fun and satisfying and fascinating. It's really cool. The main thing about keeping the characters distinct and the voices distinct is just to have a very clear idea of who these guys are and what the context of the scene that's playing out is. Fortunately, the writing, Jen Corbett and the team do a fantastic job with writing it and setting it all up. And so it's very clear who these guys are and what's playing out and how it needs to feel. And so we we get to dive into everything from action to heartfelt one to one to heartbreak to tragedy to loss to overcoming to everything with this whole range of emotion that you don't always get the luxury of in a fantasy based action show. But as part of what's so satisfying about Star Wars is that all of this is it's so detailed and so beautifully laid out in both an epic as well as a personal way that it's a lot easier than you might think to create these scenes that we read through straight through, just because the painting is mostly painted by the time I get to speaking the words. Well, the trick that I use is that if Wrecker is going to be yelling, I do that at the end of the session. That's my trick. Other than that, I can pretty much go through the script, and it's usually not too damaging. If we have a lot of like yelling and screaming and that kind of stuff, we may save a few of those lines for the end of the session, so that I still have enough gas in the tank vocally to get us all the way through the mission without too much hobbling around. But that's basically it. That's basically it. I'm old enough and experienced enough to know how not to damage my voice and what not to do. Earlier in my career, I don't think I would have known that, but now it's part of the art of doing something well is also avoiding things that work against you.
So I auditioned for a voice role, which was unusual because I'm primarily a live action actor. But it was exciting because I could use my natural accent. And at this point in time, I had no inkling that it was part of this amazing universe. Obviously, there was a code name and all the characters' names were changed. And then I got the call that I had landed the role, and then the project was revealed to me. So that was pretty huge. I was in New Zealand at the time, and it kind of felt like it wasn't real. And to be honest, even though we've now completed season 2, it still semi feels like a dream. I like that Omega is idealistic. I think because of her lack of experience of the darker parts of the world, she's like a compass for questioning why things are being done the way that they are. Um, I'm a little bit of well, I am an empath, and I think I'm quite earnest, and it's nice to be able to channel that into a character that can be in that sort of space on the Star Wars universe. Well, I knew that she was a lot younger when we first met her in season 1. So it was really like, for my process, trying to imagine putting myself in the scene as the character. So because of Omega's really unique origin, it was really easy in the sense that anything that was outside Kamino in terms of a character, a planet, a texture was like, what is this? So I feel like that exuberance and wonder was sort of easy to access. It's quite interesting in season 2, her voice changes a little bit. I don't have to sort of age down as much. And we got to play with a emotion that was a little more, I don't want to say petulant, but like, where she disagrees more and it gets a little fiery, and that was a new space as a voice actor for Omega for Omega to be fleshed out. So many things. I think it really is the same thing of the naivete mixed with adolescence. So when she feels like something is wrong, just the way that she delivers it as a matter of fact. And also sometimes I think the New Zealandness of being quite to the point sometimes and quite weirdly casual. I always joke that New Zealanders have this extremely casual way of talking about quite big things, and it works well in a sense with Omega's age. So quite often my offers in a record are inspired by the Kiwi casualness, and I think that lends quite a specificity to Omega as a character. Omega has changed quite a bit since last we saw her. It's been probably about 6 months. So from a physical point of view, she's older, her hair's longer. She's also got a whole new outfit. She's, more appropriately dressed for missions. But that's like the physical stuff. And internally, we see her as a very competent, confident, and young bounty hunter that enjoys the adrenaline. She gets her kicks running away from giant crabs and is very, very good at marksmanship now. She's a real ace with her bow. I think that sort of comfort and assuredness is a new vocal quality in her. She's not meek or shy or questioning. She's very much, yep, she's the good soldier and confident of her place in the squad.
Yeah, the tone and theme and vibe for season 2 is a lot of fun. We really see our team at a crossroads is sort of the starting point, and that had an effect on how we wrote the season and how we designed the characters. To see them more beat up is really the vibe we were going for there. What are they going to do next? And it really carries through the way that the cast performed, the animation, lighting, music, final mix, all of it.
We are going to see several new characters throughout season 2. Some that we can't spoil, some that people have seen throughout the trailer, such as Commander Cody and Emperor Palpatine. And of course, Captain Rex, who we saw in season 1, also plays a part in season 2. And they all are, in a sense, vital to the path that the Bad Batch is taking throughout season 2, which, shifts a bit from season 1.
Yeah, the style of the Bad Batch season 2 is evocative of the Clone Wars, where we have a brushy texture to a lot of the surfaces. The way that we film these episodes is really more of a live action, has a live action sensibility for the type of lenses we use, the type of camera movement we use, which is something that we're also carrying forward from Clone Wars in season 1 of the Bad Batch. And in season 2, we look to push the fidelity just a little bit more of all of these things.
At the beginning of season 2, we find the Bad Batch maybe 6 months from the destruction of Tupoka City. And right now, the Empire thinks that they perished in the attack. So they are laying low, staying off the radar. they're a bit more beaten up. Their armor's worn. They're going from gig to gig, just trying to sort of survive and make their way without making too many waves. But of course, because they're the Bad Batch and they always run into trouble and cause a scene, they start to get more on the radar of the Empire as they become more involved in the things going on throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, that's a great question. We start the season, not only is a little bit of time passed, but the Bad Batch are essentially still doing missions for Sid and trying to stay off of the Empire's radar because the Empire doesn't know that they're still alive, and the Bad Batch like that just fine. They want to make sure Omega's safe. They just want to make their way through this galaxy in these very dark times. But some of the decisions that they make end up pulling them closer to the fire. And when we do that, the story really needed to become more serialized. So we start a little bit more episodic and we become more serialized. And they're both really all the way through the same story from beginning to end, affects our characters all the way, but it does become more serialized.
I think my favorite character of season 2 is Crosshair. Based off of where we left him in season 1 and the fact that he has doubled down with the Empire, I think he is in the middle of a crisis and doesn't really understand where he fits in and what the journey we take him on and his connection with Commander Cody. I think it's some of my favorite stuff. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to cheat because I have I have so many favorite characters, but for the Bad Batch, Omega, I just love seeing how she grows in the season, how she learns things, the way that Michelle Ong performs her, all of the discussions we've had with Michelle. It's just such a great thing to see how she, never gives up and has learned all these lessons, and she's has a heart of gold and is a guiding light for all of our team. But also cheating, another answer, Fee Genoa. New character performed by Wanda Sykes. So fun to see how Omega reacts to her, to see how she interacts with the rest of the team. We think the fans are going to really like her.
What can fans look forward to this season? Oh, I mean, an eclectic group of episodes that really take the team on a journey and put them through the ringer. And it's fun. There's a lot of heart in there. And, the guest stars that we have really serve the story and propel it. And so much that I'm excited for.
Yeah, this season, the action is perhaps bigger. I think the heart is deeper because the characters have grown and we get to learn more about them. But yeah, there's a few episodes, don't want to give anything away. There's a few episodes that we think fans are going to really react to. And it is a fun thing in this time period to bring in, different parts of the Star Wars lore into the storyline, which we think is really satisfying by the time you get to the end of the season.